So we're continuing our deep dive into the afterlife, and specifically what we've been talking about recently is reincarnation. Today, I want to go a step further. I'm going to call today's class Knowing Our Purpose. A person who possesses a soul that has embodied in order to purge itself of a past life negativity will be able to discern which areas of life require readjusting by noticing the natural patterns of that individual's behavior and discovering where your instincts lead you. The negative tendencies or the negative behaviors that a person is inclined towards should be their barometer. Precisely, I would say, the self-destructive behavior that we have most trouble distancing ourselves from, and the areas of struggles with most are the territories that we need to be worked on. So if it's something that is really, really difficult for you, notice it. The exact area that you find most challenging may very well be the purpose of your soul's descent into this world, returning to this world precisely to refine that area and that aspect of your character. The world, life, emotions, intellect, there are so many different areas of interest, areas of focus. If you are naturally inclined towards a particular area of focus, there's a reason. There's a reason that this is interesting to you and not this. Every single soul has its unique purpose, has its unique mission. Whether it's a soul that has reincarnated to mend previous behavior, or simply an ordinary case of reincarnation where new sparks of the soul embody in order to be articulated elements of the soul that maybe haven't been unique to that particular soul in the past. Often, we find that parallel to the importance and the magnitude of our goal is the inner struggle confronted in the quest to achieve those accomplishments. According to many Kabbalists, we, and I emphasize we choose the ambience for the life we're going to lead. We choose whether we're going to be rich or we're going to be poor, whether we'll be strong or we'll be weak, whether we'll be beautiful or maybe not in the eyes of the beholder. And the reason we choose these particular circumstances is to help us reach our own soul actualization, to attain our own personalized tikkun, refinement. our own unique piece in this world. I'll give you an example. Wealthier people are working on the attribute of kindness, on the attribute of openness, on the attribute of giving, while those who are less fortunate wrestle with learning to be more content and not covet, maybe even not steal. Maybe some measure of reassurance and comfort can be gained or understood by realizing that it's we decided our particular lot in this world. Our soul, before descending into this world, decided its lot in this world. Each of us, each individual, each soul is aspiring to achieve our own tikkun, our own refinement through our own area of struggle, whether it's being fabulously wealthy or devastatingly destitute, and pretty much everything in between. We decide this. Whenever we encounter difficulties, whenever we encounter challenges along our path of life, we have to keep in mind that everything has a purpose. There's a reason why we were born, including to whom we were born, and at which time, and at which place, and in which city we were born. Even our physical or our mental or even our genetic makeups work in conjunction with our intuition, our psychic, the inner dynamics of our soul. Our physical prowess mirrors our spiritual potential. Maybe we don't notice it at first. Maybe we're not tapped into it at first. But our nature and our nurture are all working with us toward the articulation of our unique, our distinct soul type. So to attain our maximum development, it's pivotal that the soul is placed in an environment that is conducive for our soul to become realized, to become the best version of itself. Everything within us is conspiring, so to speak, and assisting us in our unique incarnation, in our unique tikkun in this world. There's a very basic spiritual principle that says the master of the universe does not approach man in trickery. It's from the Talmud in Avodah Zarah, right, in the beginning of 3a. And because the master of the universe does not approach us in trickery, it says in the Midrash, demands only as much as man is capable. Essentially, everything in life is working to help us. Yes, even those things that you think are not. They are in your life to help you. Environment, culture, genetics, they're all ingredients that support, that assist each and every one of us to bring forth our individual soul type in the best way possible. Even though it does appear that the importance or the magnitude of our goals runs parallel to the inner struggles that we encounter in our quest to reach them. It's only true with regard to the shallower modes of perception. To a large extent, only the power that works against us is our own surface self, the outer shell self, which has been traditionally in the Jewish texts referred to as the Yetzer Hara, which can be translated as the ego, ego, which stands for edging God out, the ego, or the selfish inclination. The obstacles that may exist are not from the external world around us. They come from our internal world. They come from an ego space within. That ego space gives rise to all the inner doubts, to all the uncertainty, to all that skepticism. The Yetzer Hara, the selfish inclination, the ego, it's nothing but an imposter. It's an imposter whose secret desire is for the transcendent elements of self to prevail and render it transparent. It doesn't want to exist. Obstacles are only there to challenge. They're only there to provoke the marshaling of all of our inner strengths and resources to persevere. I think looking at at life from this vantage point, we begin to realize that our entire scope of reality is working towards helping us be the best version of ourselves, helping us attain our tikkun in this world, our personal tikkun in this world. When we have, on whatever level we need to overcome our inner strife, we come to the astonishing, to use a word from another language, epiphany, that all of life was forging towards perfection all along. Even in our setbacks, even when it's difficult, even when we have those moments when we're down, it's all for the sake of progress and refinement. And when we finally act upon this realization, we're able to find a true sense of self-worth, a true sense of inner contentment. You see, it's the struggle, it's the challenge that helps us find that inner contentment. It's not going to happen for what's easy. If we want to discover our soul, if we want to rediscover our soul, we have to work. We have to do the work. Nobody can do the work for us. There's no shortcuts. There's no easy way. It's interesting because the Talmud talks about it as the long, shorter way or the short, longer way. We've spoken about this before, and we can speak about it again later. Beyond the collective responsibility of repairing the broken universe, collectively, all of us, by perfecting imperfect vessels, so that these imperfect vessels in this world can absorb what Kabbalah calls the Or Ein Sof. Or Ein Sof. We've spoken about this before. OHR EINSOF. Or Ein Sof, which is the infinite light referring to God. We perfect the imperfect vessels through our good deeds, through our mitzvahs. But aside from this, there's a distinct and separate mission. There's a separate, unique purpose for each and every one of us, related to a mitzvah, a deed, something that speaks to us as an individual. Every single one of us, every person, intuitively knows what their higher purpose in life is. Occasionally, we may acknowledge it, and at times we may choose to ignore it. But deep down, the awareness is always there. Overall, all the tools that are needed to achieve our maximum potential, our maximum spiritual potential, they're all apportioned. Both nature and nurture, they work in sync with our soul type. Every person has areas in life for which they have a natural gift, things they love doing. And even if, or we'll say despite them being challenging, having a gift doesn't mean that it comes easy. It takes inspiration and a lot of perspiration to achieve our full soul potential. Still, in the greater scheme of things, in these challenging areas that we are soulfully connected with, and through them, that's how we're able to attain our unique soul purpose in this world. Now, we're talking here about the domain of the positive. That all of this that we're speaking of, our purpose, our unique purpose, our overall purpose, is all in this overarching idea of tikkun, of refining the general sparks in the world and our unique sparks in the world. But by the same token, there are also negatively charged attractions. Those negatively charged attractions, they're also soul indicators. So just as when we see a powerful surge towards positively inclined actions, we should pursue them, the opposite is true as well with regards to negatively inclined actions or desires. Our work is to refrain from them. The area in a person's life that has the greatest fault or the greatest deficiency is that very place that has the potential for the greatest merit. It's not just our greatest gift. It's not just our greatest talent. It's also our greatest deficiency. We have to look at that as well. It's that great potential that's just waiting to be actualized through the appropriate action, through the appropriate expression. So whenever we feel a particular pull towards a certain negative behavior or towards a certain negative conduct, it could be lust, it could be greed, it could be anger, any negative conduct of any sort. We have to realize that these are precisely the areas that we have to pull ourselves away from in order to achieve our purpose in this world. Over time, we'll come to the amazing realization that these certain attractions, they emanate from a surface level of self, where the still waters beneath, the deeper space within, they reveal themselves as just trials to test our resolve. They're meant to call forth greater reservoirs of energy and striving. We so often spend our life and our time riding the waves, or trying to make sure we don't drown from the waves. But in our lives, there are still waters beneath that are not at all affected by the waves on top. The areas that we are drawn to, the areas that we feel a strong connection with, whether they're positive or they're negative, they indicate to us that this is where our soul's mission is located. And when the attraction is positive, we should follow it with all our hearts. We should pursue it. We should pursue it more. But when the attraction is negative, we have to distance ourselves, run away from it, and do so as difficult as it is with all the strength of our being. But these two, both the positive and the negative, they are the indicators of what our purpose is. Questions? Somebody asks, can our purpose change over time based on our struggles as we age? Of course. It's not that our purpose is changing over time. I hope that I'm not the same person that I was 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. If I was, then all the days that I've had in this world, what have they been for? As I grow and become a better human, what ends up happening is my struggles could become greater. And my talents and the positivity side also become greater. That's part of life. You know, you think that you overcome it and it becomes easier. It actually may become harder. Cheryl, please.
You had said something earlier. Excuse my voice. My morning.
We can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. The headphones weren't working with this laptop. You said something earlier from Talmud, and I can't quote it exactly, but I've heard it many times. Something about the struggles, and God will only give you as much as you can handle. So there are many people, I know them, I'm sure you all know them, that at a certain time of their life, the struggles get piled on top of each other. So whether it's a death in the family, and then all of a sudden there's a hurricane on top of that, and then there's whatever it is, that the struggles get layered. So why and how is a person, a human, supposed to overcome those and change all of that into a positive? I guess I don't like the fact that God said, well, like, I'll only give you as much as you can handle.
Yeah, the greatest people in the world have that question, as they have a lot more they can handle because they're so great. They're the ones that have that question.
Okay. Thanks. Gave me a lot of confidence in that.
Any other questions? Yeah, please, Jill.
Yes. So I think what strikes me is just how sure you are of this, or it's just how you're coming across, and it's what I want to believe, and I'm not sure I have a question in here or not, but is it is it just a matter of repetition or just choosing to believe it, and all these other doubts and insecurities or whatever, it's like, okay, well, that's not the real thing. So I guess my question is, how do I know you studied for years, Rabbi. I'm not in that situation. But for those of us that have all of these, like, I want to believe this, but really, I guess I'm not sure how is what it
Such a
just
good
seems
question.
far fetched.
Such a good question. Imagine, Jill, that I came to you one day and I said, you won't believe it, but I found in an archive a letter from your great, great, great grandmother, sealed. I hand it to you and you open it. And inside, it says something like this. What would you say?
What would
She
I
wrote it.
say?
She wrote it the last days of her life, and she wanted to pass it on to her descendants. You didn't even know her name until the moment I handed you the letter. And this is what it said in it. Exactly what I just told you in this class.
Okay, so if that's what it said from another source of this information, I guess it would be another layer of, like, oh, to of pushing away the doubt. It's like, great great grandma says this must be, there must be something to it. So I mean, maybe that's, part of my soul makeup is this. I'm just doubting. I just doubt. And I was talking to my sister. I said, I think I'm just distrustful. And my sister is so trustful. I'm like, did I just come in like that? How do I open that up? And so I guess I just sit with that.
The reason why I'm so confident about it is because it's not my own. I didn't make it up. And that's,
Yeah.
if I would just make it up, then I would, if even if I was confident, it would be false confidence. But it's
Mm,
because I know, whether you want to say how old this teaching is, it's definitely older than me, my parents, my grandparents, and my great grandparents. I'm sure about it.
mm.
And I don't know that many things that are older than them, for real. Especially because, I'm from a Jewish family, and unfortunately, the story of the Jewish people is that we've been all over the world, and we weren't really able to take very much with us. Especially, you talk about great grandparents, we don't have very much.
Right.
So the fact that I know that this comes from them, and it's way before I lived in this world, by people who were older than me. I think one of the greatest things that I could share with you in a world of distrust is we honor those who came before us. And that's not about trust, that's honor. We honor them because they lived in this world, they're older than us, and they have a lot more experience than us. We honor them. Honor does not have to be friendly, does not have to mean believe, it doesn't have to mean uh
Like
hey, what's
them.
up? It's honor, it's awe, it's respect, it's you are greater than me because you come before me.
That's a tough one. That's especially if you see those that came before you and there's not a lot you feel like you want to emulate or that you've learned, you more feel like you want to break the cycle. So I'm kind of got a foot in both of that, where I kind of understand that honor in, but it's kind of a distance of removed. It's not like you're my friend or my best friend or,
But
but go ahead.
When you asked that question to Jill, Rabbi, my first question, what you said, so what would you think of this? And I'm thinking, how do I know that was my great 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 grandmother? That was the first distrust. Forget about what the letter said, right? So
Not
Rabbi's,
from the,
yeah, Rabbi's quoting older than that, but it's our tradition and our religion. But I don't know that I would trust you to give me something from my great 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 grandmother and know that whatever it said was true.
you're right. You're right. I wouldn't trust me either to give you something from your great great grandmother. But I but I but it's older than that, and I definitely know, and I can, I my wife got into DNA and we did our DNA and it came back that I'm 99.7% Ashkenazi Jewish. I mean, science has proven that this is from my people.
mm-hmm.
So I carry them with me. Now, Jill, talking about breaking the cycle, that's very important because our society has spent so much time focusing on the negative. We are nurtured towards the negative. So we talk about the breaking the cycle. Of course, we just spoke about breaking the cycle. From negativity, we got to break the cycle. But what about the positivity?
Mm.
What do they give us that's positive?
Right.
Just as much as we focus on breaking the cycle, which I agree with you 100%, that is one side of it. We need to equally focus on the other side of it, the positive elements of it. And that's why I focused, even in today's class, to start off and spend more time on the positive and then just say, and this is the negative, because we know the negative so well, because we're nurtured towards the negative.
Mm. That makes so much sense, that it takes so much more effort to highlight the positive and then bring it to the surface and keep it there. It's just a more difficult exercise. So thank
Much
you.
more difficult. And we're starting at a negative 50 because
Exactly.
we spent all these years nurturing the negative.
Yeah.
How do I break the cycle? How do I stop how do I and thank you, Freud, for creating this kind of, even within the emotional framework of modern psychology, we still have it focus on the negative.
Yeah.
I always wonder what a positive version of Freud would look like.
And hasn't
I think
Freud been,
when you came on with the report card, you all everybody's heard this story. You know, you may get all A's and a D, and instead of the parents saying, "Wow, that's a great report card," you know, well, why did you get a D in that? So,
But
to
it's
what you're saying, yeah, we
but
do.
but it's everything. I have this plate here that in front of me that one of my kids left from thing, and it's a beautiful white plate, but they ate something and there's a little spot there. And what am I focused on? I'm focused on the little dirty spot on the plate instead of the fact that the rest of the plate is beautifully clean. We're always focusing on the dirty spot because that's how we're nurtured. We're nurtured to clean the dirty spot. Ugh, I can't handle it. I got to get myself a magic eraser and clean the dirty spot. But the fact is, the rest of the wall is beautiful and nice and clean.
Yeah.
Rima, you're waiting a long time, please.
Hi. So I'm struggling a little bit what the teaching is saying about that we choose our circumstances.
Mm.
And I'm thinking about my parents are Holocaust survivors. So my dad lost his mom when he was 7 years old. He was in orphanage. And he didn't choose that. He didn't choose to grow without a mother. I'm named after her, by the way. I mean, it's how, as a child, growing without a mother, his father was fighting in a war, how he can, I wouldn't say that he was a negative person. No, he was very calm, very kind, but very hard not to focus on the negative when the life circumstances was like his. So how do we view that?
I want to honor your father, and I want to
Thank
honor all the survivors. And I'm going to honor them by not answering your question, because any answer I'm going to give to that is going to not be the right answer. And any answer anyone can give to that is not the right answer. Actually, I would say even more so. There are some questions we've learned, somehow in our life, we've learned that all questions get answers. But some questions, by answering them, we destroy them. Answering this question would destroy it. And we don't want to do that. We're going to honor them. We don't understand. I have listened to hundreds of stories. My whole life pretty much has been, certain parts of it, the results of the Holocaust. I don't want to ever answer this question. I don't want to ever possibly think of justifying the acts of cruel people. So I'm not going to answer this, but I want to tell you another anecdote. Tonight is going to be Tisha B'Av, the saddest day in the Jewish calendar. Aside for the fact that we're mourning the destruction of 2 of the holy temples, many, many other events, tragic events, have happened to the world and to us specifically. The onset of both world wars was on this day. There have been countless pogroms that have started on this day. I'll tell you one very interesting is the wrong word. One very terrible, difficult event that happened on this day. In 1492, Tisha B'Av was the last day that the Jewish people could convert to Christianity in Spain during the Inquisition or face death. There were many thousands of people before that, knowing that fled if they could. But there were many people who were stuck, and they were now forced to become what we know today as a derogatory term as Marranos. People who on the outside converted to Christianity because they had no choice. Because of the Inquisition, the Spanish Inquisition, they would face death. But on the inside, they were still very Jewish and embraced their Judaism in secret. Stories of hiding the Shabbat candles in the closet on Friday night. The Marranos were incredible humans, incredible humans. I just was saying that the word was known as a derogatory word, not that the Marranos were derogatory at all. They were incredible people. They were people who were forced to go to church on Sunday. They were they had to show openly in so many ways that they really did convert to Christianity, while secretly their souls were crying. One of the ways that they were able to hold on to their faith is they got comfort from the fact that most of the mitzvot, most of the commandments, are negative. There are 248 positive commandments and 365 negative commandments. And they would focus on the negative ones. They would say every single day that I do the don't do's, I am closer to God. And that's how they lived. Of all the commandments, the don't do's, the most honored of all the commandments to them was fasting. The fast days were very special to them. Of all the fast days, where maybe today, for those of us who are traditional and we fast, we would say, oh, the most important fast is Yom Kippur or Tisha B'Av, tonight. For them, the most important fast was the fast of Esther before Purim. And if you know the story of Esther, you know that Esther was a Marano. She was the first Marano, really. Esther had to hide who she was. She couldn't tell the king that she was really Jewish and where she came from. And they saw Esther as their leader, as the person who was able to stay true to their Judaism while being under incredible duress. They called her Santa Esther, actually. Some people, even during that time, the Marranos had a tradition to fast the 3-day fast, the way Esther did, because her fast wasn't one day initially before she went to see the king in the story of Purim. It was actually a 3-day fast. But what ended up happening over time is the first generation remembered what it was like to be Jewish. The second generation had a connection, but the third generation grew up in the hands of the inquisitors, in the hands of the Inquisition, and a lot of them ended up, as the Inquisition wanted them to assimilate and become real, to truly become Christian. Yet they kept on to these very interesting traditions. I mean, one of them that's very famous is people find, not knowing they were Jewish, but always lighting a candle on Friday night in the closet, not knowing why, because my mom always did it and my grandma always did it. And I don't understand why, and nobody can ever understand why collectively these people were put in such a difficult place. If God wants us to have purpose in this world collectively, wants us to have tikkun, why create such a difficult and tragic way of serving God? It doesn't make any sense. And there's no answer to it. There's no answer to it. Alessandra, please.
I just wanted to tell you something funny, and I hope I'm not offending anybody. When we came to this house, obviously it's an Italian house, right? So I didn't get to pick my room, but in the room I was allocated by my mother, there was Jesus on top of the bed. I said, Mom, I cannot possibly sleep under Jesus. So we took Jesus away from the wall and we put him in a drawer. So it was just for me too much. Maybe as the descendant of Marranos, to sleep in a room with Jesus on top of my head. That's what you made me think of it when you mentioned the Inquisition and the Marranos. So and again, I hope I'm not offending anyone in the room, but I just couldn't do that. It was a side note.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Any other questions before we go to our golden nuggets? Okay. Let's start with our golden nuggets. Celeste, why don't you start?
Well, Mom just blew me away and just now told me that my grandpa's mother's name was Esther, which I never knew that. So thanks for that. Was amazing to find out. And thank you so much for class, Rabbi. Really appreciate the idea of investigating our soul's purpose in both ways, in ways that, you know, where our gifts lie. That doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, and to also pay attention to the places that are a challenge. I think I have an echo, so I'm going to hand it over to Trish. I mean, Mom. No, I just told everybody your name. Mom.
Oh no. I just want to thank Rabbi and everyone for having this class auspiciously on this day, that I got to participate, and also that my daughter, Hava, is with me. And that's always miraculous to me, that I grew this person, or God grew this person, and now they're on the outside, and now she's with me this morning. It's all stunning to me how this happens, but mostly I wanted to thank everyone for prayers, and Rabbi especially for having this class today.
Want to pass it on?
I do. I'm going to pass it on to Jill.
Thank you, and wishing you good healing, quick healing. I also want to thank you for this class. That this has been such a wonderful touchstone for the last few years, and thank you, Rabbi. I think, kind of going off a bit of my earlier question, like, how do I believe? And I have had moments, whether it's when I've been walking in nature or in meditation, that I have absolutely felt that connection, that the universe is conspiring on my behalf. They're moments, and they are often fleeting, and it's been a while since I've had those moments. But I think also going with, like, that's a big positive. Even though I'm maybe not in it at the moment, I know what I felt, and to maybe build on that so I can create more of those moments. So I can not process this with my brain, my doubts, just process it from a different whole body, soul place. So anyhow, thank you. I'm going to pass to Kelsey.
Thank you, Jill. I'm having a little bit of connectivity issues, so hopefully this isn't cut out, but I'm just studying with a lot of this. If I have to choose one golden nugget for today, it is that we choose our circumstances. Just blessings for Mom for a speedy recovery, and Celeste, just supporting you.
Thank
Rima,
you.
have you? Of course. Rima, have you given your golden nugget?
No, thank you. So the way from today, my nugget is, the way I take it, I'm going to be honoring my parents by growing myself, by searching, by attending classes like that. And this is how I see my purpose, because it's a very big part of me, of course. So I did have a question for you, Rabbi Bernard. I keep going back to classes and listening, and there's just so much research, so much wisdom. Like Cheryl said in one of those classes, we're so thankful for you doing that. But the question is, do you plan to write a book at some point based on all this research?
My fear of books is always, I don't want it to be misinterpreted. I feel like if I could teach it, the intonation of my voice, the style in which I can convey it, make sure that it can be understood, the ability that we have to communicate and ask questions and understand and piece it apart. If I'm able to overcome that at some point, yes.
That would be invaluable to many people. Thank you. So I will pass on over to Mom. Did you go?
Mom went.
I did.
Yes. Praise for your mother and speedy recovery.
Alexandra, Cheryl.
Cheryl.
Thanks, Rima. I enjoyed hearing your story, by the way. Sorry for the struggle that you go through with your history. And Mom, wishing you prayers too. I love the idea of the book thing, but I so agree with you, Rabbi, that the back and forth conversation answer, there's nothing learning like that. And your particular learning style, or teaching style, I should say, attracts me even when I'm exhausted because it's early here. But the pauses, you know where to put the pauses for us to think about what you said. It's not typical lecture style that I'm used to with other people, teachers, and I don't know, I really like your style. Okay, going back to my nugget. I'm having trouble with discovering my purpose through my struggles. Because the question that I had asked earlier in the chat about do our purpose change or does our purpose change? It's a quest that I've been on for a couple of decades now, actually. What is my purpose? And I think that purpose keeps changing. But now there are struggles that get in the way of some of that. And then I'm thinking, okay, I need to change my purpose again. But based on what you said, my purpose is already there. It's in there. It's my job to peel the layers of the onion to find out what substance is really in there and what I'm truly to learn from my struggles. So that's my takeaway for today. And again, thank you for the class, even on this mournful day. I think everybody's gone, right?
Oh, Alexandra.
Oh, Alessandra, I'm so sorry. Alessandra, please. Oh, wait,
Okay.
before you go, that story about the Jesus above your head in the bedroom, I had that same feeling when I was in a hospital at St. Alexis. So St. Alexis, every room in the hospital has a cross above the bed, and it's like, do I really want to be treated here, or do I want to be in this bed, or should I just take the cross off? Okay, sorry, I just related to what you said.
I had the guts to just, respectfully put it in a drawer, and I will put it back when respectfully because it's not my house. So I will do it respectfully. So my mom, Rabbi, has mentioned a couple of days ago, because I was listening to a class of an Israeli Sephardic French-speaking rabbi, that she feels he's very aggressive, and while she understands what he says and the message can be great, She much prefers to listen to you, even though she does not understand a word you say. But the way you say it is the way you speak, and the way you pause, as Sherry was saying, and the way you speak and your voice is soft. She feels it's a lot more inducive to learning. That's feedback number 3 today. About but you could write it in audio. You could have an audiobook like you have your podcasts. Having said that, maybe something I could share with the group is what I shared with you yesterday, that I found my great grandmother's grave, and I've asked them. It's destroyed. It's open. Anyways, I've asked them to restore it, and what I did is that I have contacted my cousins, because she passed away in 78 and I was born in 74. So technically, when I was born, I had my great grandmother, which is a blessing already on its own. And I've asked my father's cousins and whoever wanted to participate in the mitzvah of repairing the grave, not because I needed the money, but because as we've learned, it is a great mitzvah, and I wanted to be able to share it with the people who loved her. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, other than Jesus. And and now to my golden nugget. So the struggles, we have struggles every day. Some are smaller, bigger, etc. But I was starting to feel better at reacting to my struggles. So, but then you mentioned the word ego. So maybe I need to reconsider myself. That's my nugget for today. In other words, I have my challenges like everyone, and like I should have. I just was starting to feel that my challenges were easier to deal with. And now maybe I need to reconsider my ego, or since we're also looking at the bright side, or continue on the path of learning so I can be better at going through the struggle. These are my nuggets for today. Thank you. And healthy recovery to Mom. And since we just happened to be end of July, and we were supposed to have a meetup in October, and life happens, nothing has been planned. I just wanted to put it back on the table while I was thinking of Mom's recovery and hoping that she would be part of the group in October. Done for the day.
Thank you all. Thank you for your all of the feedback. I have a lot to say on it, but I won't say. I will just continue doing what I do, and if it works, just continue it.
Could you respond to the October thing?
Yes, and I will see how we can still plan and arrange October thing. And keep you posted. It's my fault. I forgot about it, and I will see if we can continue on that road.
Thank you.
I remind everybody that there's a hospitality at my house. It's not close to the synagogue. It's not kosher, but it is hospitable.
But it contains a lot of lavazza.
A lot of lavazza, yes.
And how many Jesuses are in your special other guest rooms?
No, like in my home, this is not my home. Like where I'm at. In my home, there's no Jesus, there's no cross, there's a Hanukkah, and there's a candlesticks, and there's food and prosecco.
Prosecco.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Is the class on Wednesday?
Bye, everybody.
No, no, no. We continue Thursday. It was only because of Tisha B'Av that we changed the class.
And tonight you're doing the same Zoom link if we want to.
Same Zoom link at 8:30 Eastern time. So
Okay.
7:30
Yeah.
your
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.